The Purdue Boilermakers are in the middle of their bye week, just a little over halfway into the season. The Boilermakers right now 2-5 overall, 1-3 in the Big Ten after a 41-7 loss on Saturday to the third-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. Lots of football to play starting a week from Saturday when Purdue travels to Lincoln, Nebraska to take on the Cornhuskers. Good evening, everybody. From Wolfies Grill in Carmel, Indiana, it is the Ryan Walters Show. We're going to talk with the head coach until the top of the hour. We have a packed house here at Wolfies. Let's let the fans hear that you're in the house tonight, if you don't mind. Outstanding. A lot to talk about. We'll recap the Ohio State game, but really looking forward not only to the 5 games left this season, but also to the future of Purdue football. So if you're watching on Facebook tonight, we are on the Purdue Athletics site. We're on X, on the Purdue football site. On Facebook, let us know where you're watching and if you have a question for the coach. And we will have the coach with us next. It is the Ryan Walters Show, presented by the Rohrman Automotive Group on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
Out of the gun with Garrett Miller, the tight end in motion, and Mockabee with a big gain on first down. And this crowd gets loud early as Mockabee takes it to the 4. And Brown's going to run right with blockers. Brown turns it upfield, dives, ball's out. Purdue says they have it, and they do.
This will be interesting here.
Did the ball come out before or after Devin Brown got to the goal line?
Ooh,
that ball's out.
Early. That's a touchback. Definitely the break that Purdue in the pass game, even off of just those short slant routes.
Inside of 2 minutes, they stop the clock to reset the chains, then start it again, and now Card. Look at him go. Hudson, much as he could have last week against Iowa because he was so banged up, gets a first down there, and now Mockabee here gets another one down the far sideline. They call him Crazy Legs. They're going everywhere.
Unfortunately, Burns couldn't hold on to it.
And here's Mockabee inside the 5 and down to the goal line. This is going to be 3rd and 2. Mockabee goes to the backfield. Card over the middle. It's caught by Rice. Here's another one, and Rice breaks loose. Rice into Buckeye territory.
That's your teammates what you can do when you get a chance.
And let's see what they do here with Brandon Innes, the freshman wide receiver, checking in. Number 11, ball's out. Karloftis falls on it. It's Purdue football.
It's a great job by the Boilermakers. This is a team that's...
Ruling on feels a fumble recovered by the defense. First down.
It's a team that's had a lot of success getting to
the line. Calls for it. Gets it. With pressure converging. Throws over the middle. And it's complete inside the 5.
Inside the 1 yard line and get backed up with a penalty.
So here's Card to the blitz coming. Card throws, and they finally get in the end zone. Deion Burks with Purdue's first points of the day.
Welcome back to the Ryan Walters Show. We're live at Wolfies Grill in Carmel, part of the Wolfpack Restaurant Group, including the Italian House and Nyla's in Westfield. The 2023 Purdue football season is presented by Purdue Global, Purdue's online university for working adults. Earn a degree you're proud of and employers respect. Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu. Joined by the head coach, and Ryan, we're about halfway, just a little over halfway through the season. I know that you want more on the win side. You had a tough couple of games at Ross-Ade to start the season. Overall, how do you feel about this football team as you are in your bye week right now?
Yeah, like you said, nobody wants to be 2-5. You know what I mean? We knew, especially the front portion of the schedule was going to be hard. And I will say that the guys have gone to work after every loss and learned from it, and we've tried to move forward and improve, and that's what we've continued to do. We are a little banged up right now. It's always everybody at this point of the season. But we've had some injuries that have been season-ending, and that's tough, especially when you're already thin at certain positions. But guys have stepped up. We've gotten creative with the way we've practiced, and the bye week couldn't have came at a better time. We on Tuesday and Wednesday had developmental practices where the guys that are not traveling or the guys that have not done a lot of the playing have gone out and got extra work and have scrimmaged some, and while the travel guys or the guys that have taken most of the snaps this season have really done some rest and recovery and things in the weight room with our strength and conditioning coach. So looking forward to this last 5-game stretch where it's wide open, and we're excited to go finish out the season strong. I've been saying from the start that I feel like this team will continue to improve and continue to get better as the year goes. And so, we should be peaking at the end of the year if that's true.
This is not something that's particular to Purdue, but it seems like every year, or at least a lot of years, you'll get injuries at a specific position, and it's just one right after the other. Right now, that's the offensive line for you.
Yeah, it's been tough. You really look at the start of the season. You didn't have Gus Hartwig, who is he's probably the best center I've seen in person. I'm really glad that he's on our team, but you didn't have him for the first 3-4 games. But you also didn't have his backup, Josh Kaltenberger, because he got hurt right before the season started. So, now you're playing with your third, string center going into the first 2-3 games. You get Josh back, you get Gus back. That definitely helped in the lineup. Marcus Bowe, who is our starting right tackle, goes down and he's done for the year, and that's awful. At Iowa, and then this past week, Luke Griffin, who was really coming on as our right guard. That first series he was in there, he has damn near the same injury as Marcus had.
Yeah.
So. It's part of it. It's this what you sign up for when you put on the pads. It's the side of the game that you hate to see, but that there's risk that comes with it. And so, as a staff, we got to get creative with how we attack our roster and the game plan, and do what's conducive to our strengths, and try to minimize our weaknesses, and put a plan forward to get our guys in successful positions to go win a ball game.
To their credit, the offensive line did something Saturday that no other team has done against Ohio State, and that is they blocked for their running back to get 100 yards.
Yeah.
Devin Mockabee had 110 yards, and he had some big holes to run through on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Those, like I said, I feel like our staff has done a good job of trying to put those guys in positions in advantageous situations that we can move the ball. And so, Mockabee is talented. Everybody knows that. And so when you give him a little crease, a little window, he can get you some much needed yardage, and can find little slivers of windows and some holes, and that's why he was able to get to that 100-yard mark.
I wouldn't say we worried, because I don't think we worry about a guy like Devin Mockabee, but he had the fumbles early in the season. You just wonder if that's going to do something to his confidence. But I thought he ran really hard and really well on Saturday.
Absolutely, and I thought it was important for him to know that we didn't lose confidence in him. Obviously. You sternly address the issue and make sure that doesn't happen again, and have some very candid conversations, and maybe have some different drills that you do at practice that he didn't like, but he hasn't fumbled, so it's worked. And
they didn't include fire hoses, did they?
No fire. Maybe some rubber bands though. So. But it was, he's a solid earth kid. Everybody calls him the mechanic, because not only does he work on cars, but he just got that kind of, workman's mentality, and he's a blue collar guy, and so we weren't worried about that being an issue moving forward. We just wanted to make sure that didn't happen again.
Tyrone Tracy Jr.'s had a really good start. Was not able to play on Saturday, but you had Dylan Downing able to come in, and you really like those three running backs and the way that they can complement each other.
Absolutely. Tyrone has been a really pleasant. I don't know if I want to call it a surprise, because we kind of saw it in the spring and saw the potential of what he is capable of doing when he's just playing running back. And so I thought he was really hitting his stride, and he transferred from Iowa.
Yep.
And so that week on Tuesday's practice is when he kind of tweaked his groin, and we thought he was going to be able to play, and so we go to Iowa, and obviously he's a very big part of our game plan. And you could just tell the first couple snaps he just wasn't himself, and so didn't want to risk injuring it further. And so obviously didn't play last week, but he's feeling good now.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys you really need the bye for, because those injuries sometimes, like hamstrings, are pretty slow to heal.
Yeah, those soft tissue injuries, man, they need time, and especially when you're a skill position where it requires reaction and full speed explosion and long stretches of max effort. It was important to get him some rest and recovery.
All right, everybody check in tonight on Facebook on the Purdue Athletics site. We'll have more with the head coach after this. It's the Ryan Walters Show, presented by the Rohrman Automotive Group on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield. The game that's going to go down in Purdue history is the Tyler Trent game. Talk about your relationship with Tyler, and specifically that night, what that meant to you to be able to give him that kind of a gift.
I am a firm believer that everything that happened that night, everything with Tyler's story was divine, was ordained, that it happened exactly how it was supposed to, with the College game day piece, the way it was aired that morning, and then the attention on the game, and then Tyler being able, after having a rough week, to be able to be there and get to see us, kind of accomplish what he had hoped for us was really special. And then obviously he was so brilliant and so smart, and he was able to use the platform that he had been given from his voice to now impact others and raise millions of dollars for cancer research, and to share his story and his testimony, and how powerful it is. That's what I see. When somebody stops me and they say, "Wait, you were the quarterback of Purdue that night. Y'all beat Ohio State," and then the next thing is, and the kid Tyler Trent, right? That's every encounter I have about that night is about Tyler, and that's what people remember, and that's, in my opinion, exactly how it should be.
For a young man to have that kind of impact on the world is really kind of all anyone can ask of this life, and it's been awe-inspiring, really, like you said.
That's exactly right, Corey. I mean, it's Romans 1:16 says, "For we are unashamed of the gospel," and he was unashamed. Like, he was unashamed of what he believed and what he stood for, and what he wanted to people to know about him and his life. So that's something that is living with me today, just seeing how bold he was. And yeah.
David, this is a game that's going to go down in Purdue history as the Tyler Trent game. Makers as the presenting sponsor of the Ryan Walter Show and proud partner of Purdue Athletics, Rohrman Automotive Group, Boiler Up and Hammer Down. No game this weekend. The Boilermakers will be on the road at Nebraska on October 28th. Kickoff for that one is set now at 3:30 Eastern Time, so we'll be on the air for that one at 2:30. You've been to Nebraska before. You said you fared pretty well there in the past.
Yeah, I have. Knock on wood. It is a unique and an amazing atmosphere. There's 90,000 people. It's just all red, and they have like the most courteous fans I've ever seen. I've never been somewhere where like you win a game on the road and they stand and they clap for you. You know what I mean? So. But when it's rocking, it's rocking, and when it's quiet, it gets really, really quiet.
We played up there a couple of years ago. I actually had some of their fans come up to me before the game and apologize because it was raining. Now those are polite fans. Now we won that game. I'm not sure they would have been quite as cordial afterward, but maybe your experience is that they are. So good for them, and let's hope that they have to do that again a week from Saturday.
I would love a standing ovation.
Let's say hello to Matt from Syracuse, John from Littlestown, Pennsylvania. We got to Rushville checking in, Zionsville, Austin, Texas, Hillsdale, Michigan, Chesterton, Glen Lake, Illinois, Bob and Speedway. We got to Boonville, and Aaron is in the back room at Wolfies. So Aaron, thank you. Evansville, Punta Gorda, Florida, South Bend, Boiler Up from Grayling, Michigan. Bob Grant's dad played for Stu Holcomb. That's going back a long, long way in the Wayback Machine. And also, Susie, enjoyed meeting you earlier tonight, and it's great to be here. And
good to meet you too, Susie.
It's great to be down in a place where you need to get recruits, and you've got 5 Carmel kids right now on that Purdue roster.
Yeah, this to me, anytime you have a in-state recruiting hotbed like we do at Purdue and Indy and Fort Wayne and all the surrounding areas. You got to build your roster with those guys. It's just the culture, the importance of being successful in front of your home state, in front of your home crowd is pivotal in collegiate athletics and specifically football. So, the state of Indiana is our top priority in the recruiting process.
We do have a question on here. John wants to know, when you have a short yardage situation, I think specifically he was referring to the play when you were inside the one, why did you go in the shotgun instead of underneath center?
Well, if you remember early listen, I would love to be able to go in 23 personnel and run power I and get a yard, but we're not built that way right now, just from a roster standpoint. And if you remember during the early part of the year, we tried to do some of that and try to quarterback sneak it, and there's a lot of people very upset that we couldn't get a yard, including myself. And so, really lately when we went shotgun and without giving too much information to anybody who's listening, but started moving laterally to get vertical, our percentage of success rate in the 1 yard to gain has gone up tremendously. Like, obviously, we just played the number 3 team in the country, and They were able to get us to go backwards, and nobody's is happy about that. But we are doing things that we feel is most conducive to our roster having success, and so that is why we were in shotgun.
We haven't talked very much about the Buckeyes. They have talent, and they especially have talent at the wide receiver position. You could see on Saturday why Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be an NFL player for a long time.
I know. If I could have doubled him every snap, I would have. We did it a few times, or a lot of times. But when we didn't, he made us pay for it. And there's a reason why he's going to be the #1 receiver taken. And like I said, there's a reason why Ohio State is the #3 team in the country.
They did have some success offensively, but they paid the price. Dylan Thieneman put a huge hit on Chip Trainum, knocked him out of the football game. And, again, Dylan Thieneman showing why he's one of the top freshmen in the country.
Yeah, I think he's one of the top safeties in the country. I don't, just because he's a freshman, like he's playing better than, I watch tape and see crossover games. I wouldn't want anybody else in this conference playing his position than him. He is fast, he's athletic, he's tough, he's physical, he's got great ball skills, and he's a brilliant mind. And so he's going to have a long, God willing, and everything works out to where he's healthy, and for as long as he's going to be healthy, he'll be playing football, I promise you.
It's nice to have Sanusi Kane back pretty much at full strength now as a running mate. We saw Sanusi was a little compromised early in the season with that cast, but all of a sudden he's looking like the Sanusi Kane that we know and love.
Absolutely. He's a great leader for us, not only on the field but in the locker room. Really, really proud of the way he has embraced this culture and really tried to move us forward and through adverse moments. He is a stalwart for us and a tremendous leader.
All right, we're coming to you from Wolfies Grill in Carmel. We'll have more of the Ryan Walters Show after this, presented by Rohrman Automotive Group on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
Out of the gun with Garrett Miller, the tight end in motion, and Maccabee with a big gain on first down. And this crowd gets loud early as Maccabee takes it to the 4. And Brown's going to run right with blockers. Brown turns it upfield, dives, ball's out. Purdue says they have it, and they do.
This will be interesting here.
Did the ball come out before or after Devin Brown got to the goal line?
Ooh,
that ball's out.
Early. That's a touchback. Definitely the break that Purdue in the pass game, even off of just those short slant routes.
Inside of 2 minutes, they stop the clock to reset the chains, then start it again, and now Card. Look at him go. Hudson, much as he could have last week against Iowa because he was so banged up, gets a first down there, and now Maccabee here gets another one down the far sideline. They call him Crazy Legs. They're going everywhere.
Unfortunately, Burns couldn't hold on to it.
And here's Maccabee inside the 5 and down to the goal line. This is going to be 3rd and 2. Maccabee goes to the backfield. Card over the middle. It's caught by Rice. Here's another one, and Rice breaks loose. Rice into Buckeye territory.
That's your teammates what you can do when you get a chance.
And let's see what they do here with Brandon Innes, the freshman wide receiver, checking in. Number 11, ball's out. Karlaftis falls on it. It's Purdue football.
It's a great job by the Boilermakers. This is a team that's
ruling on fields, a fumble recovered by the defense. First down.
It's a team that's had a lot of success getting to
it alive. Calls for it. Gets it. With pressure converging, throws over the middle, and it's complete inside the 5.
Inside the 1 yard line and get backed up with a penalty.
So here's Card to the blitz coming. Card throws, and they finally get in the end zone. Deion Burks with Purdue's first points of the day.
Welcome back to the Ryan Walters Show. We're live at Wolfies Grill in Carmel, part of the Wolfpack Restaurant Group, including the Italian House and Nyla's in Westfield. Purdue Athletics would like to thank and recognize members of the Black and Gold Club who support Purdue Athletics through their sponsorship at the highest level. Black and Gold Club members include Indiana Packers, Molson Coors, Purdue Federal Credit Union, Purdue Global, Rohrman Automotive Group, and Wabash. Each are great partners of Purdue Athletics. We have a lot of VIPs in the crowd tonight, but one specifically, we have one of our trustees, Mike Klipsch, is with us tonight. So let's give a round of applause for Mike and the great job that the trustees do. Paula came up during the break, and she has a question. You mentioned that you're getting thin at some positions. You may have to play guys that haven't played yet. How do you get them ready for Big Ten football, especially for an atmosphere like they might see in Lincoln, Nebraska next Saturday?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. You know what I love about football is it is non-discriminatory. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't care how old you are or what you've been through or where you grew up. It just matters like what do you do on the field. And so, you know, to me, we've already played a lot of freshmen. A lot of true freshmen are out there taking a lot of snaps. And so if you come to a practice, like we prepare them by putting a lot of pressure on them at practice. We try to make it as hard as possible. You know, if you see us coaching, it is in your face, it is aggressive, it is demanding. You try to put them in adverse situations in practice so that when they get to the game, it's not the shock and awe and the wow of the amount of pressure that is on you. Now, obviously, can you simulate 90,000 people in the stands? No, but we've got big speakers right behind the offense that are blaring, you know, Nebraska's fight song and simulating crowd noise so that communication, the importance of communication and the way you communicate is at a forefront, and so that it's not that you're not doing that for the first time on game day. Now, can you simulate the exact experience? No, but we damn sure try, and we try to make it to where practice is really, really hard so that the games are easy.
A related question to that is there anyone who's developing right now maybe faster than you anticipated who could fill a position that we haven't seen? You know, I know I'm putting you on the spot there at you know, not knowing right now who's going to be available for these last 5 games, but you've got 4 games that you can play with to keep a red shirt if you need to do that.
And to be honest with you, like the whole red shirt tracker deal, if you can play, you can play. Like we're not saving guys for next season.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You know, especially if we are paying for their their tuition and paying for their schooling, like they're here to do a job, right? And so if you are able to help us win games, you're going to be out there. But, you know, I'm not just saying that because his dad is in the crowd, but George Byrne has done a great job, and I would anticipate seeing him more in the lineup and having more snaps and more playing time. He just continues to improve, you know, at tight end, and you know, he's big. He's gaining weight. I think he's over 220 now, and obviously track guy was really fast, got good hands, and really has an understanding of what we're trying to do offensively. So I'm excited about his future. I know only you know, his future here, but the rest of the season.
I know we've got a lot of parents in the crowd tonight and family members of players, and you mentioned it earlier, Indianapolis and the surrounding area is so important to getting control of the state, getting the best players to stay here and wear black and gold. You know, you can't get all your players from Indiana. It's not like in Ohio or California, but you can get a pretty good core of players from here. Absolutely.
You know, to me, it's like I said, it's got to be the core of your roster. It's got to be the identity of your locker room. And, you know, obviously we'll go and spread our wings to fill holes and find good players to come help us win games. But your core group of guys, they got to be from the state of Indiana.
Let's look at Facebook again. We've got Cody from Rushville says, good evening, Coach. Proud of you. Keep up the good work. Greg calls you a man among men, so congratulations to that.
Appreciate that, Greg.
Greg said it was very cool when your mom sang the national anthem. He wants to know, is there a tattoo story that involves you and your mom at a young age?
There is, actually. So this is what happens when your parents have you when they're 16. They don't make very wise decisions either. It's funny, in fact, I vacation with my parents all the time because they're like my friends, right? We grew up together. And my mom is always apologizing for stuff she did as a parent. I'm like, I turned out okay, I think, you know. So, but yeah, I was 16, and she was just happy I didn't have a baby on the way, so I wanted to get a tattoo, and she took me to get my first tattoo. So
there you go.
There you go.
All right. Maybe you can get a Rose Bowl tattoo or something else down the road here that you and Mom could share that one, right?
If we win the Rose Bowl, me and my mom will definitely get a tattoo.
All right. You heard it right here.
I'll sign that in blood right now.
All right, we'll have more with the coach. It's the Ryan Walters Show, presented by Rohrman Automotive Group on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
See if she can find some magic. So Ohio State is really going to have to put one in here with Purdue needing just one. Hudson off the block, and great block by Brandewee. Off her hands again, but Purdue is going to strike first, and they will take set one. One more point, and Purdue has a 2-1 set lead. Ohio State going to have to really slow down their heartbeat here. And they can't do it. Raven Colvin is the reason for point 25, and the Boilermakers are up 2-1. Ohio State just needs one more to go 5. Off the top, Anderson to Colvin. We're going 5. They can answer this one. This will be a high flyer. Tooman to Murphy. Resetting from Anderson. And it hits the back, and Purdue wins it.
What a way to end it for Purdue, finding that back right corner on Ohio State's side.
It's really cool to see. You're always giving credit to your offensive linemen, the coaches. You're always spreading around the glory. And it's neat to see here today. You're doing that still, looking back. Your old teammates, your old coaches, at every program, the community. Why is that so important to spread the light like that?
It's the truth, right? It's like I said earlier. It's just like a lot of people encourage me to be where I'm at right now. Is because of other people. You know what I mean? I get emotional about it, but it's the truth. You know, I'm blessed. You know what I mean? I lived the dream that a lot of people would love to live, but you know, it was just even now, you know, at 49 years old, I'm in Tampa, and you know, it's just a place that, you know, will always be home. You know what I mean? Even though I'm a Midwestern, you know what I really am proud to grow up as a Midwestern, right? Leaving here, being 22 years old, and then going somewhere again, you know, 18 here, 22 there, and then all of a sudden it's like, you're thrown in the ring again, and you know, people brought me in. You know what I mean? I'm all about community, right? And playing for your community, being with your community, and you know, the community supporting obviously my career here, but at the same time is, you know, bringing home something to them. You know what I mean? Like I did in Tampa, we were, you know, we did, you know, we were Super Bowl champion home to them, you know, but they were just like, that's what Tampa and, you know, West Lafayette, they kind of resemble us. Good old people that just love to watch, you know, some good ball, you know what I mean, and be a part of it.
Our side of the court.
See if she can find some match.
Welcome back to the Ryan Walters Show. We're live at Wolfies Grill in Carmel, part of the Wolfpack Restaurant Group, including the Italian House and Nyla's in Westfield. Boilermakers against the Nebraska Cornhuskers coming up October 28th at 3:30, so our pregame show will be at 2:30 Eastern Time. David chiming in tonight on Facebook from Cumberland says loves the energy and the positive, so keep the road going. Also, we got a question on here from Landon. From seeing where we are at a skill perspective at this point in the season, where do you see our biggest transfer portal needs going into the offseason?
You know, that's kind of a hard subject to talk about right now, because you're talking about, you know, we still have the end of the season to play, and I've got all the confidence in the world in the guys that we have in our roster to go win ball games and be successful. You know, we do have some guys that are older in the receiver room. Obviously, we got, you know, Marquise Wilson, who was playing really well, got hurt as a corner, who will be gone, and so there might be a need there. You know, Cam Allen will be gone. So, you know, we'll address the portal as it comes and where we need to address it. I think, you know, the most important position right now for us from a junior college or transfer portal is the offensive line, and so we'll attack that, and we'll get better where we see we need to get better.
Is that the hardest position to recruit out of the portal? Because it's kind of like big men in basketball. Everybody needs them, but there aren't enough guys to go around. Yeah,
you know, it can be difficult because everybody wants them, right? But you know, when you're dealing with the portal and with junior college recruiting, it's not like high school where like you need to wine and dine and convince. It's basically a business transaction, right? Like this, and you need to come in and be able to play and get developed. You only have a certain amount of time to do so. So for teams that are in need of offensive linemen, usually you can get them because they feel like there's an opportunity to come in and play. So, you know, that's where we'll spend a lot of our time and efforts and energy this offseason.
When we've had players on the last few weeks, one of the things they all mention about you and your staff is the trust that's built up and the relationships that are built up. And I think as you look at recruiting, honesty has to be first and foremost, because you can't tell a player. You can, but it's a bad idea to tell a player one thing and then the minute he gets on campus, well, that's not what we're going to do with you.
That's not the way. I don't know how to operate that way. It just doesn't feel right. And if I can be open and honest with them, I feel like they are comfortable being open and honest with me. And so, that way you're able to find out things that are happening in your program that need to be changed or altered or improved. And so, there's a two-way street there. It's got to be constant communication. If they're trusting us to put a plan together for them to succeed, we got to be able to trust them to execute the plan. And because coaches ain't making any plays, right? And so.
Right.
It's a two-way street, and they know that it's a mutual beneficial relationship. And at the end of the day, that is why I'm in this profession is because of the relationships and because of the mentoring you can do and the relationships that you gain when they get out of the building. And so that starts in the recruiting process. If you're not truthful there, it's hard to be truthful otherwise.
And one of the biggest places those relationships start is with in-home visits. I have to believe in the course of your career, which is young but still a lot of experience there, you've had a lot of home-cooked meals.
Absolutely.
Over the time. Is there a particular favorite, and is there one that stands out? You don't have to mention a player, but if there's a dish that really knocked your socks off, can you remember?
There's been some dishes knocked my socks off in the
wrong way. Yeah, how do you do that? Gee, Mrs. Cleaver, this is delicious.
I grew up in a household with a bunch of foodies, so I'm used to good meals. But the ones that aren't so good, it's hard to
smile,
put on a poker face and scarf it down. Usually, you blame. We had a couple minutes before or some hours before the in-home visit, so we already grabbed something to eat. I'm already full, but there's been some interesting ones.
I can imagine. All right, we're going to have more after this. It is the Ryan Walters Show, presented by the Rohrman Automotive Group on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield. The game that's going to go down in Purdue history is the Tyler Trent game. Talk about your relationship with Tyler, and specifically that night, what that meant to you to be able to give him that kind of a gift.
I am a firm believer that everything that happened that night, everything with Tyler's story was divine, was ordained, that it happened exactly how it was supposed to with the College game day piece, the way it was aired that morning, and then the attention on the game, and then Tyler being able, after having a rough week, to be able to be there and get to see us, kind of accomplish what he had hoped for us was really special. And then obviously he was so brilliant and so smart, and he was able to use the platform that he had been given from his voice to now impact others and raise millions of dollars for cancer research, and to share his story and his testimony and how powerful it is. That's what I see. When somebody stops me and they say, "Wait, you were the quarterback of Purdue that night, y'all beat Ohio State," and then the next thing is, and the kid Tyler Trent, right? That's every encounter I have about that night is about Tyler, and that's what people remember, and that's, in my opinion, exactly how it should be.
For a young man to have that kind of impact on the world is really kind of all anyone can ask of this life, and it's been awe-inspiring, really, like you said.
That's exactly right, Corey. I mean, it's Romans 1:16 says, "For we are unashamed of the gospel," and he was unashamed. Like, he was unashamed of what he believed and what he stood for, and what he wanted to people to know about him and his life. So that was that's something that is living with me today, just seeing how bold he was. And yeah.
David, this is a game that's going to go down in Purdue. Boilers feature, where we look at how former Purdue student athletes are doing in their professional sports careers. Pro Boilers is presented by Indiana Kitchen Premium Pork Products. Get to know us at indianakitchen.com. Both our Pro Boilers and Indiana Kitchen are boiler made. We'll look at one player on each side of the ball. Raheem Mostert continues to have a blazing start to his season with the Miami Dolphins. Last week against Carolina, 17 carries, 115 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also had a receiving touchdown. He is only the 13th player in NFL history who has scored 11 touchdowns in his team's first 6 games. So Raheem Mostert having a heck of a season down with the Dolphins. And George Karlaftis, as we expected, having another big year in Kansas City. He had 3 tackles, half a sack, and 2 pass breakups in their win over Denver. So a lot of Boilermakers in the pros, and that does not hurt your recruiting at all, does it?
Absolutely. You know, it's good to see those guys have the impact that they have, and it's really been cool to get to know Karlaftis, you know, since I've gotten the job, and it was always fun to watch him play, you know, when I was at Illinois, just his motor and his talent. You know, it's no wonder he's having the success he's having in the NFL. Cody has a question about uniforms. He wants to know that we've had the throwback uniforms this year from the Coach Tiller era. He wants to know if that's going to be a permanent thing. What the uniform? How involved do you get in decisions like that at this point? Extremely involved. You know, so you have a contract with Nike, and so the 2 uniform options were the throwback and, you know, the all gold, the black and the all gold newer version, right? And so aesthetically, the older version looks, to me, it looks cleaner, it looks better, and you know, I think the fan base liked that, but the problem was it doesn't fit the way it should fit from a player's perspective. Yeah. And so the players like the newer ones because it fits a little bit tighter, and, you know, a little sleeker. And so this year will be the last year for both of those uniforms. And so myself, creative, our equipment staff, and Nike have come together and to decide what the uniforms look like moving forward. And I think fans will be excited about the direction we're taking. It's drawing from the past with a twist and being a little more modern, a little more clean, you know, for the future. So a good combination of both. Chris has a specific question about recruiting on Facebook, and it is, as you're looking, we were talking about offensive linemen, whether you're recruiting them out of high school or out of the portal. What are they looking for when they're looking to go to a school? Obviously, relationships are important with a school, but what does an offensive lineman want to see to make a decision to go play for your team? You know, it's the style of play, it's the coach, it's the strength and conditioning program that can develop them. So from a football standpoint, that's what they're looking for. And then obviously every recruit is looking for, you know, what is life like on campus? What can I do with that degree? You know, how's that decision to go to school at your institution going to set me up, not for the next 4 to 5 years, but really for the next 40, because where your relationships are gained, where your networking starts, and really catapult you into whatever career you take post-playing. I mentioned it's a bye week for the players, although they've had a few practices this week. It's actually one of the busier weeks for you because you're out on the road all week recruiting. Absolutely. Trying to, you know, every day you're trying to improve the program, and so there are no days off. That is a myth. I don't know what that is. And it's what you want to do, right? Like this is we call that July, I think. The days are off. Even still, I took a lot of phone calls when I was on the beach in Hawaii, I promise you. But it's been awesome. The support and the dialogue between and the reception of the guys that we're recruiting and guys that we're targeting and all those things have been really, really good. When you came in and took the job, you didn't have any film here from Purdue. Now you could show them what you did at Illinois and your other stops. How much easier does it make when they can see, okay, here's how I would fit in, here's what Purdue is running, and I'm going to plug myself into this position right here? Yeah, it definitely helps. You know, so now that we've got, 7 games of live tape, you can point out the good and the bad, and it's easier to learn when you're looking at yourself from a player's perspective. All right, we're going to be back with more after this. It is the Ryan Walters Show, presented by the Rohrman Automotive Group on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
18 here, 22 there, and then all of a sudden it's like, you're just thrown in the ring again. And, people brought me in, you know what I mean? I'm all about community, right? And playing for your community, being with your community, and, the community supporting, obviously, my career here, but at the same time is, bringing home something to them, you know what I mean? Like I did in Tampa, we did, we were Super Bowl champion home to them, but they were just like, that's what Tampa and, West Lafayette, they kind of resemble us. Good old people that just love to watch, some good ball, you know what I mean, and be a part of it.
Our side of the court.
See if she can find some magic. So Ohio State is really going to have to put one in here with Purdue needing just one. Hudson off the block, and great block by Brandewee. Off her hands again, but Purdue is going to strike first, and they will take set one. One more point, and Purdue has a 2-1 set lead. Ohio State going to have to really slow down their heartbeat here. And they can't do it. Raven Colvin is the reason for point 25, and the Boilermakers are up 2-1. Ohio State just needs one more to go 5. Off the top, Anderson to Colvin. We're going 5. If they can answer this one, this will be a high flyer. Tooman to Murphy. Resetting from Anderson. And it hits the back, and Purdue wins it.
What a way to end it for Purdue, finding that back right corner on Ohio State's side.
It's really cool to see. You're always giving credit to your offensive linemen, the coaches. You're always spreading around the glory. And it's neat to see here today. You're doing that still, looking back.
The 2023 Purdue football season is presented by Purdue Global, Purdue's online university for working adults. Earn a degree you're proud of and employers respect. Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu. We've reached out and thanked a lot of people in the crowd tonight. I have to do a quick family shout out. My daughter, Emily, who works down here in the Indianapolis area, is here along with Nathan. And my son just checked in. He's in Manchester. That's Manchester, England, not Manchester, Indiana. So it is 11:47 there at night. So I think they get the Stay Up Late award tonight. So
yeah, I appreciate that.
Thankful to have them with us as well, along with Olivia out there. Let's talk about your offense. And Hudson Card, who we know has been playing a little bit banged up. As you look at his first 7 games, give me some things that you really like and something, maybe a thing or two that you'd like to see him sharpen up in the last 5 games.
Yeah, one, like you said, he's been banged up since really the first series of the Illinois game. And so really been impressed with his toughness. The injury he had is painful. And, at times you could tell it was hurting him. And so as a coach and as a medical staff, when you know it's not going to get worse, but as he's dealing with pain, then you got to rely on the player to communicate what he can and can't do, and then you got to, as a coach, you got to decide at what point does it make sense to play his backup? Like, when does his play get to a point where it's not as good as his backup at full strength? And just looking back at the Iowa game, I probably should have pulled him, if I'm being honest with you. He was hurting, but he's a tough kid. So you look at him in his face, and you're like, the game is on the line. It's a tight game.
Yep.
And so the competitive nature in him is like, no, I want to go. And he was still throwing dimes. I wish we would have helped him out a little bit more and caught the ball, but he was still throwing dimes. And so, now, one of the things that makes him really good is his escapability. And when you're playing with that type of injury, it's hard to want to escape, right? And so I think some of the plays that he would like back are some of the times he'd hold on to the ball a little bit too long. And I know when he's not playing well, it looks like, okay, your quarterback's not playing well. Receivers still got to run the right route.
Right.
They got to be at the right depth. The offensive line still has to protect him and give him time. And then as a staff, we got to call plays to help him get the ball out of his hands quicker. And so I think that, that mesh and those circumstances have led to some of his negative plays. Does he a talented guy? Absolutely. Is he tough? Absolutely. Can he make every throw? Absolutely. Can he make people miss? Absolutely. And so our job as a staff is to take him from being uber talented football player to being a great quarterback. And I think you're just seeing his maturation. This is his first time being a full-time starter. First time being in control of a team. But there's nobody in the country I'd rather have than Hudson Card in my locker room.
It's a different offensive roster, or I guess a game plan as it was in the last few years, in that you've really spread the ball around this year. I mean, last year you had Charlie Jones, you've had David Bell, you've had Rondale Moore with 100 catches. That's not the case this year, but you've got 3 guys that could each catch 50 passes this year. So certainly the offense has been more spread out.
Yeah, it has been, and we want to continue it to grow that way. And that's the that is the vision, is to be able to hand it and get yards rushing and create big gaps and have some gap schemes and get the ball out on the perimeter quickly. And what I love about our pass concepts is no matter what the coverage is, there are answers. And so that takes time also, right, from a receiving core standpoint and being able to identify, what coverage is being played and knowing how to get to my answer. And some of that is where you see Hudson tapping the ball, because Hud knows where to go with it. Is the guy there, and he's supposed to be there, and he's not there. So what's going on? You know what I mean? So those are all year one growing pains, and again we've got 5 games to close out this season and finish it on a high note. And I fully anticipate and am confident in our ability to do so.
One of the things we have noticed about this receiving core, they're pretty sure-handed. It seems like, and I don't have the stats in front of me, but it seems like the number of drops over here the last couple of years has decreased.
Well, I wasn't here the last couple of years, so I don't know. I don't know what to compare it to. And I think we're catching the ball better earlier in the season than we have the last couple of games. And that is part of playing football. We got to make competitive plays, and that message has been voiced loud and clear. And so I'm excited for us to go out there and compete again.
All right, we're going to be back at Wolfies Grill for our final segment of the Ryan Walter Show, presented by the Rohrman Automotive Group on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
Out of the gun with Garrett Miller, the tight end in motion, and Mockabee with a big gain on first down. And this crowd gets loud early as Mockabee takes it to the 4. And Brown's going to run right with blockers. Brown turns it upfield, dives, ball's out. Purdue says they have it, and they do.
This will be interesting here.
Did the ball come out before or after Devin Brown got to the goal line?
Ooh,
that ball's out.
Early. That's a touchback. Definitely the break that Purdue in the pass game, even off of just those short slant routes.
Inside of 2 minutes, they stop the clock to reset the chains, then start it again, and now Card, look at him go. Hudson, much as he could have last week against Iowa because he was so banged up, gets a first down there, and now Mockabee here gets another one down the far sideline. They call him Crazy Legs. They're going everywhere.
Unfortunately, Burns couldn't hold on to it.
And here's Mockabee inside the 5 and down to the goal line. This is going to be 3rd and 2. Mockabee goes to the backfield. Card over the middle. It's caught by Rice. Here's another one, and Rice breaks loose. Rice into Buckeye territory.
That's your teammates what you can do when you get a chance.
And let's see what they do here with Brandon Innes, the freshman wide receiver, checking in. Number 11, ball's out. Karlaftis falls on it. It's Purdue football.
It's a great job by the Boilermakers. This is a team that's...
Ruling on field, a fumble recovered by the defense. First down.
It's a team that's had a lot of success getting to
the line. Calls for it. Gets it. With pressure converging, throws over the middle, and it's complete inside the 5.
Inside the 1 yard line and get backed up with a penalty.
So here's Card to the blitz coming. Card throws, and they finally get in the end zone. Deion Burks with Purdue's first points of the day.
The Rohrman Automotive Group is supporting your Boilermakers as the presenting sponsor of the Ryan Walter Show and proud partner of Purdue Athletics. Rohrman Automotive Group, boiler up and hammer down. Purdue against Nebraska on October 28th. Do have a question here. Do you have a favorite Purdue tradition yet?
Favorite Purdue tradition? I do like, when we get to the stadium on game day, just, the walk behind the train and the fans lining the road to the facility. It gets your heartbeat pumping a little bit, get the hairs on your arm standing up, just to remind you like how proud the Purdue nation is and how they show up, you know what I mean? And that is always a good reminder and good motivator heading into game days.
One of the new traditions this year is coming out through the Tiller Tunnel, and I've had a lot of people talk to me about how that has really boosted their experience. It's a different atmosphere when the team comes out on the field now at the start of a football game.
Yeah, it's been really cool. I don't know what it was like before, obviously, but there's a bend that comes around, right? Like when you first walk into the tunnel, all you see is tunnel. You can't see the field. It's not just like a straight shot. And so when you leave the field from your final warm-ups, like the stadium is not full yet. There's people trickling in, but it's not full. And so you go in the locker room and you're only there for, about 15 minutes before you head back out. But when you walk through the tunnel, just the anticipation of seeing the stadium at its capacity, and there's huge speakers that are in the tunnel, so you hear all the music that's being played and the video that's being played. And so to be one of the things that is humbling is to be able to walk in front of the 120 guys we've got in the locker room to approach game day, and then right when you make that turn, it's like a little left turn, and you get a glimpse of part of the stadium, and it's all black and all gold and black. Like that is it is a unique and special experience that I'll never forget, and hopefully one that I get to continue to do so until I retire.
Let's talk about these final 5 games. That absolutely. I have a feeling you're going to be making that walk for quite a while.
I hope so.
Let's talk about these last 5 games in total. You've got an opportunity here. We mentioned the record is 2-5, but still 5 games to go. Every game is winnable. You start with a game against Nebraska. But what's your message to the team now as you hit the halfway point? Now you kind of reset at the bye for these last 5 weeks to keep them on edge.
Yeah, I was, again, like you talked earlier about just the approach in the building is of being open and honest, and that is exactly what I've been throughout the entirety of this season so far. And so it is an open and honest assessment, right? Like we are 2-5, and we are sitting where we are because of who we are and what we've done, right? There's no pointing fingers and putting blame on anybody. And so, you look at the next 5 games, you got Nebraska, and then you got a chance to go right the way you played against a great Ohio State team. Like as a roster and in the locker room, like if you didn't like the way you played or you felt like you should have made more plays against Ohio State, well, you got an opportunity to do so against a team that's even better at their place. And then you have, Minnesota, Northwestern, and Indiana. So you have an opportunity to do something and finish the right way at the end of the season. And from the beginning of time in college football, I remember Gary Barnett telling me, everybody remembers what you do in November. And so we've got an unbelievable opportunity to go close out November the right way, to not only get to postseason play for our seniors, but to gain some momentum and set the stage for the next year.
All right, travel safely. We'll see you next week. Again, we'll be back at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union next Wednesday. For the head coach, I'm Tim Newton. Thank you for coming out to Wolfies Grill tonight. This is Boilermaker Football on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
Boiler up.